Thank you all for coming or for visiting online. Due to COVID restrictions, doing a eulogy for this celebration of life was pretty much impossible. So we decided that we wanted to do something online so that people could access it. Something needs to be said about such an amazing individual like Sydney. Many of her peers, being younger, might also appreciate this more than sitting in a sweaty hall for 20 or 30 minutes listening to an old guy like me. I'm hoping this should be 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most. So let's roll. Let's start with the obvious. If you've attended here in person today, you'll see her truck. She nicknamed it Rangy. She nicknamed everything, short for Ranger. Her and I joked that she'd never be able to hide from anybody with this truck. Sure enough, that was the case. We debated about bringing it here today, but these things are the things that embodied what Sydney was. Pink camo, pink decals, pink seat covers, hell of a booming 100-watt subwoofer. The booming sub coming up the street was a bit like her bounding up the stairs in the morning, shouting, "Wha-bam!" You knew Sydney was in the room. When she was quite young, Sydney was diagnosed with ADHD and was put on meds to slow her down. After a number of months, she explained that she didn't like the way the meds made her feel. And she wanted us to take them off, those meds. The fidgeting of her feet, her legs were her signature Sydney tic. If you knew her, and we wonder sometimes if we had made her take them, we allowed her to stop. If she would have been the same vibrant, crazy girl that she was. As well as liking to dress up, like a pretty lady, makeup, dresses, Sydney loved being outdoors. She loved being active, fishing. She loved to hold up the first fish of the year and send me a text. She loved nature. She loved that. In the last few years, had been keen on shooting, dirt biking, and quadding. Hearing her speak about these things, then the stories afterwards, they were always an event. In true tomboy fashion, she was less intrigued with the classroom and gravitated towards making things with her hands and took advantage of a course for a first level machinist. She loved it, and CNC machines, metal shavings, the smell of oil, all quickly became part of Sydney's persona. And she loved being hands-on, and she was proud of the work she did. At work, on her truck, building an enclosure for Ziggy, brakes on one of her off-road vehicles, she wanted to be there and willing to learn as well. She started the tradition a few years ago, before Canada Day, by strapping a hockey stick onto the back rack of her truck, and then attaching a huge Canadian flag to it that flapped in the wind as she drove around. A month before Halloween, she came home with a 5-foot-tall skeleton. And as her helper, we planned and strapped the skeleton in the bed of her truck, hanging onto the stick. After Halloween, she replaced that skeleton with her Remembrance Day flag in honor of our vets. Then onto holly and flashing lights for Christmas. She loved that truck, but she loved it when little kids would point and they'd light up and they'd laugh. We called her recounting her adventures the Sydney Show, as it almost seemed like it was a performance she had thrown together in the last moment to make us laugh. Sometimes I'd wait up just to hear about her night, and she'd make me and her mom and her sister howl. She had a funny but also pragmatic outlook on life, and especially people. I heard her again and again express frustration with someone, and in the next breath, apply her truck-sized empathy by trying to appreciate maybe they were having a tough time, and then musing how she might actually help them. Her empathy knew no bounds, and somehow this young lady was able to view people in very broad ways with very little judgment. This was part of her beauty. Unless you knew her better than from afar, this might be easy to miss, and she was a bit loud, and her fashion and colors may have come off brash. That's not the case. She was nothing like that. After a recent truck meet where Ford Rangers gather to yak about their trucks and show them off, she explained that when she arrived, she felt that some of the other, pretty much all male owners, may have been a little bit shy or put out about Sydney. But once they engaged, she developed a relationship and continued to be involved. As a Mopar guy, having a daughter that's such a Ford lover isn't easy. I joke, I loved her for all of her passions. The night before her passing, she came home from a bonfire of a small gathering and amused her sister and I with a story of arriving at this fire, seeing a praying mantis in the dusk, and then spending a few minutes hopping around trying to actually gently catch it, while people who she barely knew were looking on, wondering, WTF. She had us laughing hysterically. But in this story was the essence of Sydney. She loved animals and always wanted to be near them and protect them. At last count, we've had more than 45 pets over the last years, from finches to gerbils to rats to ferrets to cats, a dog, and most recently a chameleon. For all of Sydney's outsized personality, she also had a very stoic side to her. Sydney laughed easily, but she seldom shed tears. I recall when her neurologist confirmed with us that she had MS. I looked over at her face, and it wasn't blank, but there was very limited emotion on it. And only a couple of tears streamed down her face. In the 6 years, I've never heard her really complain. They only sometimes lamented that some of her offshoots were receiving the diagnosis. I suspect she kept any complaints to herself, and after finding pain cream and other over-the-counter meds cleaning out her truck the other day, I firmly believe that Sydney understood her diagnosis, had a handle on the prognosis and progression of the disease, and for 6 years, she really worked hard at flipping the bird to the disease, which is probably one of the things that motivated her to get out. We were up in Bracebridge on Monday, and I tried to retrace her steps. I was able to stand on the dock where she and her friends got caught up and plan their day. They were going to ride, swim, maybe have some drinks after dinner. The water was that clear Muskoka glass, reflecting fluffy popcorn clouds. Perfect. I could sense that this was a place that she loved. Her friend explained that she was excited to be there, and they were excited to be together. The last few hours, Sydney was in her element. If she could have rented or owned this would have been the perfect place for her. Sydney was expressive in many ways, and one big way was the tattoo sleeve on her arm. Initially, we chatted about limiting them to something that would mean something for her whole life. That sounds ironic, yeah. She conceded that she wanted to do the tattoo her entire arm, eventually creating a sleeve, but promised that each would be meaningful. And they were. She started with never a victim, forever a fighter, immediately after her MS diagnosis. Then months later, the four of us went as a family, imagine that, for tattoos, and she added the cherry blossom, representing how beautiful but fleeting life is. Next, she added 2 koi fish, which I came to understand, based on their coloration, represented her parents. Next was she added an image of our family's dog, Chester. Sydney begged and begged and begged for a dog for years, and finally I acquiesced. She picked him, and we kept that name. She loved that dog. Next was the death moth, which was both a connection to her sister and a sign of resilience, another symbol of flipping the bird to MS. The last tattoo she had done within the last month were some words from a Leonard song. That's my generation, not hers. But she did love country. The song was Simple Man. She pulled the words from 2 separate verses. Take your time, don't live too fast. Troubles will come and they will pass. Don't you worry, you'll find yourself. Follow your heart and nothing else. Ironically, it was written by 2 of the band members after personal tragic losses. I'm going to leave a link to that video along with a couple of other songs that are very Sydney in the comment section. Everything Sid did was a huge dose of enthusiasm and commitment, especially when it came to people and relationships. She loved people dearly. What can we take from this tragic event? Well, here's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to try and open my heart to people, everyone. I'm going to try hard to be empathetic and try and put myself in somebody else's shoes. It's hard to do. I'm going to work really hard to listening to people and hug your kids. Tell them you love them. Don't be shy with that kind of stuff ever. Seize the moment. If an opportunity presents itself to go fishing, to go quadding, to go see friends, seize the moment. Try something new. We live in a beautiful country. Get out in nature and enjoy it, embrace it. One of her friends said that Sid came to them in a dream. And she told this friend in this dream that everything will be okay. So clearly, everything's not okay. Many worlds, not just ours, have been crushed by this. But I believe Sydney is speaking to all of us. She's telling us to be gentle with ourselves. Don't judge this. If you didn't talk to her in 2 days or you didn't say something, it's okay. She would not judge you. She knew how you felt. Be empathetic, not only with yourself, with your close friends and family, but everybody. The guy behind the counter at Canadian Tire, the girl that's serving you at Tim Hortons, the people that are angry with you, ignorant or rude, because we never know what somebody else is going through. Sydney Tomei was my daughter. I loved her, and she was fucking amazing.